Sliding into your screen is not just any coffee bag. It's a Roastar coffee bag. Don't need thousands. Personalized just 25 in Roastar's Design Lab. No design experience needed. Choose a pattern, add your logo and text, or create something memorable with AI. Being made in the Midwest, you can expect it on your doorstep in no time. Now that was smooth.
At some point, I'll have you introduce yourself.
Okay.
And then you can look right at the phone. But I always have this little thing that I read at the beginning of every show called, "Hello everyone, welcome to the Coffee People Podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Wolp. This show is presented by Roastar Coffee Packaging, found online at roastar.com. I'm here on the free coffee tour, which is part of our Roast West Coast newsletter, with our guest today, Jillian Quint.
Hi.
Jillian, could you tell everyone where we are and what the name of your coffee shop is?
So we are in Deltina Coffee Roasters. We are in our San Luis Obispo, California location. We have a second location in Oceano, California. Oceano is where our roastery is. And then this is a dedicated cafe.
And I had talked to your husband, Jack,
Yes.
When it was just the Oceano, and this
Yes.
was still kind of out there in the world.
Yeah.
How is this spot different from the original spot, which I passed on the highway up?
So they both have incredibly different vibes. They're all still founded in the fact that we're a roastery at the end of the day. It's our coffee, it's our organic coffee, it's our specialty coffee. But this is definitely, because it's a dedicated cafe, you see more food options, and where this location happens to be a lot closer to a college campus. We're right next to Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. So we get a lot more student traffic in here, a lot of residential people, more people walking to the shop as opposed to parking. Whereas the Oceano store, it's a dedicated roastery. It's very industrial inside. This one is bright and white and all the things, whereas that one has it's more moody, and it certainly has darker moody. I would moody industrial, if that's a thing.
It's like a roastery questioning itself, what it wants to be.
Potentially, maybe it's a chameleon in a way.
There you go. Okay.
But they're the theme. Everything is kind of black and white is kind of our main theme, and then we have an unofficial green/teal for our colors. We're still building some branding, but yes. So that particular, because it's an exposed ceiling in that location, so there's it's concrete floors, so it definitely has more of an earthiness to it. Whereas this definitely feels more of like a cafe.
Well, I came in and I immediately went back to my car, grabbed my laptop, and sat down, because it felt like the kind of place I would do that. As we're sitting here, there's students kind of walking in and out behind the camera over here.
Yeah.
You mentioned branding. I've always known it as Deltina, but there was a different name before that.
Yes.
Where did the name Deltina come from? And if I'm not mistaken, it's a throwback to this region?
Yes. So yes, we had to change our name. That was an unfortunate mishap, but so Quintessa was the original name. The new name is Deltina Coffee Roasters. Deltina is actually named after Oceano. When we were on the quest for a new name, we did want to kind of throw back to the Oceano area. The Oceano community was one of the reasons why we survived COVID. And so it felt like a proper homage to them to include them somehow in the new name. We found through the trademarking process and a bunch of different things that using a city as a name is very difficult if able to do it all. But Deltina was actually one of the original names they considered for Oceano.
Oh, that's interesting.
So one of the local historians has a newspaper article from 1892 where they go through the different names that they're considering. Oceano was one of the names they were considering. Deltina was one of the names, and then they had a third. And I don't quite remember. I don't remember the third, but they ultimately chose Oceano. Deltina was the reason why Deltina was considered is because Oceano is actually a delta. It's where the Pismo and the Oceano creeks meet. And so it forms little delta and they go out to the ocean.
Very cool.
That's where the name Deltina comes from. Then as far as relating it back to the shop, coffee shops are where two people meet. And so it fit really well into, yes, it was the very first full circle moment to have that realization of, oh, we can still name it after this community, but then also have it tie back into coffee as well.
I have never been to this community before yesterday. I went camping last night at Islay Creek Campground.
Yes.
Unbelievable.
Yes.
I recommend it to anyone coming in. How does like this area, which it feels a little sleepy, like when I'm driving in, just as an outsider. You know, how do you build community in that? Did they accept you right away? I know that you had spent time, I think, in the Midwest, in Chicago and other places, and came back here.
Yes.
What has been the challenge of building community and getting them to trust you?
That is, you probably hit the nail on one of the number one challenges, especially for this particular area. Well, to answer your first question, it's the sleepy. There's a reason why SLOW is the nickname for the area. that not only the San Luis Obispo abbreviation, but there's a lifestyle. It feels slower than normal. And then in terms of the second part of your question, and it was our local Chamber of Commerce that really helped us introduce us to other business owners in the area. It was attending networking events because we did not have any foundation in this area. I did grow up near here. I did go to school in San Luis Obispo, but my network had more or less gone by that point. So in terms of where we started the business in Oceano, it was really had to be a natural growth. It had to be us meeting different individuals and just really getting to know the area. And that was how we essentially it helped in Oceano to be the only coffee shop in Oceano. And it's the first coffee shop in Oceano in all of its existence. So that helped with the Oceano community, but then in terms of going beyond the Oceano community and building the other cities around that area, it took a lot more of a networking effort to do that. And producing a good product was helpful. So word of mouth has been our biggest. In terms of this store and the newer store, we have to then redo that for the city of SLOW.
Sure.
And so it's gonna take a lot more networking on our part to get people to know about our product and know that we are producing a high quality, good tasting, organic product that you don't necessarily find on a grocery shelf.
Not to get too personal, you can tell me to shut up or we can clip it if you like. When you started the first shop, were you a mom at that time?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
You were. And I think since you've had you're more of a mom.
Yes.
Well, not more of a mom. You're momming more often.
Or both.
The right terminology to use here.
You're correct. That's the answer. Yes. So when we started the business in Oceano, we had 3 children, all under the age of 6, so 6 and under.
Wow.
And a month after we opened that shop, we got pregnant with twins. So we went from 3 to 5 within the first year of the business, and then we had 5 kids, 6 and under at one point when we started. So,
but at some point, isn't it just like an extra bottle or an extra bowl? I mean, it's all. I don't have kids, so I'm coming at it from a totally different perspective.
That was certainly a challenge because I felt like I added not 2 babies but 3 babies to the house between the business and the twins, and then COVID hit within 2 months of having the twins. So there was a lot going on in a very short period of time. But yes, actually I had to step away from the business originally, and Jack ran the business for the first 4+ years because I had little tiny humans that needed me. I had to homeschool And it just made more sense from a business perspective to let him dedicate his time to the business and me to dedicate time at home. Got a little messy sometimes when we were trying to go back and forth and share the responsibility. And so it was just a lot easier to me continue to mom and him continue to work the business.
Easier logistically, but I would imagine not emotionally, because
certainly
for
not.
him, he's spending time away from his kids.
Correct.
You're spending time
You are
away from
nail on
your
the
other
head.
kid,
Yeah.
which is the business, which I know you get very attached, and these are your people, right?
Yes. Yes.
So making a smart decision for the business doesn't always the smart decision for you.
Correct.
As a person.
So there was certainly a lot of navigating and a lot of evolving. I think that that's been one of the bigger blessings of having a small business and having 5 children and kind of having to roll with the punches on a lot of most days. You evolve as a person and you learn certain coping mechanisms, and then you have to learn how to deal with the emotional stuff.
Sure.
And so I think for Jack and I specifically, it's been a blessing in disguise in some regards, because we've been able to work through a lot.
Well, you survived a very challenging period. You mentioned surviving COVID, and I kind of look at it as surviving COVID phase 1, because I don't feel like we've quite pushed beyond if we ever will.
It has certainly changed the way the world operates. It has changed the way businesses hire. It's changed the way businesses fire. It gives us pause in certain business decisions, and now certainly health standards. There's just all sorts of, there's so many different facets that COVID has changed. And I don't even, we can go to the next question.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's a tough thing, I think, with COVID, and I'll just close it out by saying, I know for me, it still impacts me every day, even though I don't think about it necessarily every day.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, wait a minute, this is different because of that. And I spent my career in hospitality pre-COVID. And so even now, as I talk about, oh, I'm going to maybe get back into it, I go, well, do I? And
Right.
it's a different perspective. You're running this business. I've been sitting in here for an hour or two. You have employees that you trust. I'm wondering, you've got your family at home and you have your family here. How much overlap is there now? Are they coming to Thanksgiving, especially college students? Like how do you manage having a much bigger extended family?
Yeah, if we do that, we have about an extended family of 20. Yes, because we have at any given point in time, probably between 12 and 14 employees, and then we have our family of 7. So yeah, it feels a lot bigger. It changes depending on there's always different employee situations. I do feel like that the staff that we have currently, they're great at working together. It does allow me, in some cases when I do have to be a little hands-off, to be hands-off because they communicate really well. But yeah, and actually it's funny you bring this up right now. We actually are losing 5 of our employees.
End of the school year.
End of the school year. They're all graduating. They're all moving on. Each of the 5 employees started with us when we originally started in this location, and so they've been with us for 2 years. And they feel like my babies. And so it's really hard to say goodbye to them. And I mean, it's hard to turn over the staff too, but it's more about them going and us missing kind of a part of our family. But I'm excited. They live all over the United States, and so we'll have plenty of people to go visit.
Sure. Well, and they become part of the tree of Deltina Coffee, right?
Correct.
Whatever they go out and do in the world, this is part of their story.
Yes.
Which is exciting. I'm wondering if you have any advice for people watching who may want to start a small business, may want to work with a partner. That's a pretty common theme in theory. Or just any general life advice that has helped you through getting this going and succeeding.
I could speak to so many different facets of
I can make the question broader if you like.
I think you started off pretty well. The biggest, speaking specifically to the partner part of the question, I think trust is the biggest need that needs it. It's what makes the relationship work. If you can't trust, if there's any inkling of not being able to trust your partner, that could lead to some because trust is the kind of the fundamental step of how you trust, and even in a normal conversation, it gets beyond like the money side of the trust and beyond the business side of the trust. You have to be able to have conversations with that person. If you don't feel that you can trust yourself to have a conversation with that person, or you don't trust what they are feeding back to you, that would be one of my biggest red flags. So in terms of a partnership, trust is huge. I think having, I mean, my husband and I are proof that working styles can be very different and you can still be successful at it. But making sure that your bigger goals are also in line with the other, and then also knowing that those are going to evolve over time as businesses evolve, as the world evolves. You constantly have to adapt and be at the forefront of that. And so having a partner that's willing to adapt with you is critical.
And checking in with each other because if your goals change but you don't actually have that conversation.
Correct. And that gets back to the trust.
Right.
You have to be able to trust that you can have that conversation and both parties be honest in that conversation, or know when to walk away. That's the other piece of it, is that if you know that you can't evolve with somebody, you have to know when to walk away. So trusting yourself and trusting the person you're working with.
I'm shaking my head because I'm terrible at the walking away. I want to solve the problem now and move on with my life.
Yes.
But sometimes my partner needs time to marinate.
Yes, and that, I mean, Jack and I are the exact same way. He's the one that typically needs to marinate, and I'm the one that needs to solve it now. And that's, again, when I talked about the things that we learned from this business, that was one of the things that we ultimately had to learn and confront. And then now we're in a good place with it.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. What's coming up next for Deltina? Is there anything else on the future?
Yes. So we're at a kind of a critical part of our transition, because now that the twins that we had, they're now 5. They'll be 6 next year. So we're starting to pivot in our parenting life.
School?
They are all in school this year.
Oh, exciting.
Thanks to California's TK, Transitional Kindergarten Program, they're all in school this year.
Yeah.
So they will, yes, so they'll all be in school again next year. And so we're starting to pivot in our parenting, which is allowing us to spend more time with the business. And so we're hoping to make a lot of updates to the business that they were always intended from the beginning, but because, again, small families, small businesses, time constraints, side hustles, side gigs, all the things, we haven't made some of the changes that we had intended to. So one of the things I've been wanting to do is make our own syrups. That was always intended from the beginning. So that's one of my goals for probably end of next year, is to develop recipes for all of our syrups. We just signed a new contract to update all of our reporting systems. So we're going to be using a more comprehensive program now that fits the specific needs of the cafe versus using kind of a generic one that fits multiple people's needs. We are constantly developing our roaster's choice. So this is something that we had, again, intended from the beginning, and finally just now this year starting to dabble. So there's going to be a lot of design work happening and a lot of things to launch a full-on roaster's choice. And so I'm hoping by next year we'll have 4 quarters of roaster's choice, which is a huge deal for us. And so, yeah, there's all sorts of little things in the works. Is there anything specific that you're curious about?
No, I mean, I always just think it's interesting, there's a theory that like you have to keep growing and growing and growing. But sometimes growing doesn't mean necessarily a new building or a new space or a new business. It just means doing what you're doing, which is adjusting
Yes.
and improving and
Yes.
trying to be better,
Yes.
more efficient.
Yes, yes. And yeah, evolving, I think we're evolving the business right now. That's the best way to describe the changes that are on the horizon. This store was one of our big growth, like in terms of expanding the footprint of the business. And so now we're continuing to try and push forward and work through, because what we learned opening this business is that our customer base was completely different, which means we needed to adapt all of the products that we had in the one location for this particular location. And so those are all things we've learned over the last couple of years. And so that also then needs to continue.
Sure.
So.
Probably the most important question. When you go to a coffee shop, what are you going to order?
I usually stick to an oat milk cappuccino.
Okay.
I love a good cappuccino. I'm dairy sensitive, so oat milk is my default.
I'm dairy sensitive too, but I grew up in Wisconsin, so I just power through.
Yes, and I mean I grew up in the Central Valley, and that was that.
Yeah.
Yes, so there are times where I do have to power through, but
I have gotten in trouble because I have said that I think West Coast cheese is as good or better than Wisconsin's, but I can't say that when I'm home, and I hope that no one is watching this. But I've really grown to love some of our local cheeses out here.
Jack and I have lived all over the country, and each area has a little bit of something that somehow they do better than, like you said, the Wisconsin for its cheese, but
Yeah, we have cheese curds, which are better.
correct.
No question. Squeaky cheese curds in particular. Hot, right off the line. Unbelievable.
We used to live in Chicago, and we would shoot up to Wisconsin a lot.
Yeah. Did I miss anything? Anything else you want to say to anyone?
Oh gosh, no. I can't think of anything off the top of my head. I guess if my kids hear this one day, if my husband hears this one day, I love you guys. Thank you. We would not be here without you guys. And this is all for you guys. And so we can't wait to really share this with you guys when you get older.
I thought you might say you were going to expand one shop for each kid to take over when they graduate.
Who knows? It could be in the works.
That's Coffee People for today. Head to roastwestcoast.com. You'll find coffee context, more stuff, links to Deltina, and some information about this area and this shop. Until next time, thank you for drinking good coffee, and please tip your baristas. Cheers. That's it.
Awesome.
You have a wonderful laugh.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. It's like so uplifting.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no worries. Testing. 1, 2. Testing. 1, 2. I noticed, because I stare at people a lot, I start to notice things. When you're thinking, your eyes flutter. Did you know that?
Do they really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Like it's very, very subtle, but really quickly. And it's just kind of
I've never known that before.
I could tell like when you were processing I'd be like, oh, she's coming up with something right now.
Oh, that's super interesting.